Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Hello, everybody. Broadcasting live from the border of liberty and prosperity and the highway to the north, this is Safety Wars. For Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. How's everybody doing out there? Where have I been? If you have been following my social media, my Facebook page, you do know that my mother has passed away last week. So that's where I've been. Been managing and dealing with that. And that's not what I wanted. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for all the condolences they sent, the thoughts and prayers, and everything else that went on there. I'm going to be dealing with a lot of that stuff in the upcoming weeks and months. We're planning on having some type of we had a funeral, but something on the air, something special in the near future here. So just keep posted on here. As we, if you're a long-time listener, on February 10th, 2022, we did a full hour show with an interview with Imogene Salva on her book, One Star Way, and it details her family. And I'm just making sure we're on the air here. It details her family's struggles, and it was dramatized, or some of the things, because the details were sketchy, were filled in, right? But it was largely about 95% true. Everything in there about how Poland, the Polish people during World War II, sort of like what the Ukrainian people are going through in a lot of areas in the Ukrainian war, where people are expatriated, where they are taken away. Part of the Soviet and the Russian way of doing things is to expatriate people. That is to take them out of the country and put them into re-education centers and camps, and making them Russians, essentially. And a lot of history behind that. There's not a lot of survivors yet, around yet. My mother was 89 and was one of the younger peoples that survived this whole situation at the time. So just like with the Jewish Holocaust in Nazi Germany, we're losing a lot of those folks. So if you have any folks that are who have gone through a similar experience, whether it's in Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, Burma, Myanmar, which is, I believe, what it's called now, any of those situations, that's very important that you go and you talk to those people so you can then understand what is what that's about. It's stuff that's not in history books there. A lot of what we do here at Safety Wars is inspired by my mother's story and the Polish people's struggle, and during World War II, and since then for things. So very interesting history, and I find myself being the historian for the family with this whole thing. Could be a good thing or a bad thing, I guess. Where I've had to read, and I've just said, just go listen to the February 10th, 2022 program with this. And I've referred to a couple of books along the way. Just, what, if you'll bear with me a minute here. The reason why we study history is so we don't have to repeat history. So we're able to analyze patterns. I believe it was Winston Churchill that said that history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Meaning it's sort of, you see the same things going on and on and on and on over and over again. And ever since the public has been aware of the resurgence of worldwide communism since the early 2010s, another friend of the program pointed this out on his program and was thrown off the air. Hopefully Jay Allen won't do that with me. But with the resurgence of worldwide communism here, people are becoming more and more aware and realizing what's going on there. Yes, I said something controversial. That's why I am the radio shock jock, right? The safety shock jock of the airwaves here. Now, the Friday before, what day was that? I don't have a calendar in front of me here. Let me break out the calendar. It was October 27th. We had sat down with the ASSP, and we had some technical issues. But we had sat down with the local ASSP chapter, and we had done the professional development conference here. That happened to be right up the street from me in Rockland County. And we talked about Introduction to Leadership, my Introduction to Leadership program, where I introduced the safety pyramid. The leadership pyramid. Right, we're safety people. We have pyramids all over the place. We have hierarchy of control, triangle. We have Heinrich's triangle. We have Bird's triangle. We have all these triangles and everything else, diagrams. So we had the leadership pyramid. And I had discussed that on the air here, but we also went out and discussed it on YouTube. I redid the video. So I did the presentation here on air, and then we redid the video, did a whole video, released that. We had overwhelming support with that video. I want to thank everybody for that. Again, if you want to hear this stuff live, in person, we're available for that. 845-269-5772 for the studio for my work phone, and jim@safetywars.com. We're looking at getting some guests coming up, things of that nature. And we're going to go to commercial break, and we're going to talk about OSHA News and Views. As I have said to a lot of people, we cover a lot of stuff prior to it hitting the news. And there was one story today. My wife called me up when I was at in with a client today. Text message, my phone started blowing up, and I turned it off. Was along the lines of where it hit ABC News this morning on fall protection and fraud and fall protection. So, anyway, and you know what? I got a new desk, and I'm getting every move I make here, right, is coming across the microphone. So that's not good. I have to be careful what I'm doing here. Anyway, okay, so we're going to go to commercial break, and it's Tuesday, so we have our HOP message 2. This is Safety Wars, broadcasting to our brothers and sisters in the occupied territory of behavior-based safety. Get out your secret decoder ring. Here is your nightly message.
Blame fixes nothing. Blame fixes nothing.
Yes, that is Mrs. Poesl there.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Poesl with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Poesl with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com.
So this morning I get my text messages and phone going off. Hey Jim, they were talking about safety, and they were talking about construction accidents in New York. And I said, okay, well, let me see what this is. Now, New York, I'm going to talk. I have conversations with clients with this all the time that work in New York. And this is New York State, not only New York City, where we discuss. And I know they were like, well, Jim, you're scaring me. Jim, blah, blah, blah. This stuff doesn't happen. Jim. And I had a conversation with a potential customer this morning from a very large company that we've all heard of. And as I always say. And they had, and I said, look, I said, how long have you worked in New York State? And they said, well, Jim, first job in New York. I said, well, if it's your, have they explained to you what we colloquially call the scaffold laws and some of the other laws here that are a little bit unique to everything? And they said, no, not really. They just threw me out here on the job. All right, in this case, it was a plant manager. And I said, okay, let me explain it to you. In New York, if you're the competent person, let's say for fall protection, construction, that sort of thing, you screw up your job, it's potential criminal prosecution under state law. And there's a whole bunch of stuff out there on that. I said the same thing is with these two laws we're going to be talking about. One of my neighbors is an attorney. Him and his wife are both attorneys. And a big chunk of their work has to deal with these two laws. And I said, well, how do you advise people on this stuff? As he says, it's real simple, Jim. Real simple how we advise people. We make sure that paperwork is filed on time, and we go to court. If we can't reach a settlement, obviously. And then I tell them to make sure they bring their checkbook because they ain't going to win this. And this is and I said, well, how much are we talking? He says, well, now it's millions of dollars here that they were talking about here with everything. I said, really? Millions? He said, yeah, millions of dollars. So, wow. Now we know why it's so, pardon me, it's getting in the way. Now we know why things are so expensive here. So, yeah, I got check this out. Up and down on the desk, right? I got it for free. We'll see how it works. And as you know what they say, the most dangerous things in life are free. But anyway, that's basically it. You're not going to win these cases. Very difficult to win, especially if it's a jury trial here. So this is 7 on Your Side investigates fake construction falls in New York contributing to rise in rent and home costs. This is from WABC in New York, the TV station, not the radio station. The 7 on Your Side Investigates team has learned about a scam involving fake falls in New York that is costing everyone from construction companies to homeowners and renters. The owners of several restoration companies in New York City tell Eyewitness News that they have been receiving false claims from workers who say they fell while they were on the job. I'm not going to mention the names here of the people. I don't know if they want to be outed to the whole world here. We're finding in some cases that they never even worked on the job site, said a vice president of a company. They're just looking up permits and job sites and filing claims. Another owner said he rarely used to get fall claims, but in the last several years he's getting 1 or 2 claims a year. I used to pay maybe 300 G's in a year in liability insurance. Now I pay $2 million. The contractors have to pass on the cost of the higher insurance premiums to the building owner, who then has to pass it along to the homeowner and renter. They're paying for it every day. James Fenneman, adjunct professor at St. John's University School of Risk Management, said, it's a silent tax that they don't know about. So when they have a rent increase or maintenance increase and it goes up 12%, 4% of that may come from insurance. Construction industry insiders believe the bogus claims are happening because of New York labor law, which dates back to the late 19th century. New York labor law 240 and 241, which was established in 1885, makes the property owner or construction employer fully liable if a worker falls from any height and is injured. So not only do you have to deal with workers' comp issues, you also have to deal with this. This is separate from workers' comp. All right? Jay Allen made a comment today. We got a lot of people doing this. Now, I talk with my hands. It's, the way I am. So the worker bears no responsibility for the fall under the law. If you could see me on the podcast, I put my hands in front of the camera. The worker bears no responsibility for the fall under the law, although some appellate court judges have denied plaintiffs' claims under the law. Yeah, very few. Again, remember what it says. Appellate court judges. Means it went to trial already. Right now it's being appealed. New York is the only state with such a regulation. The company owner said his company does jobs in Connecticut and New Jersey, yet the company has no claims in those states. In other markets, like New Jersey and Connecticut, you'll have a myriad of contractors in the same type of work. Same materials, some labor. In some cases, the same labor. Same everything will be half the price of that in New York, and that's mostly driven by insurance costs. We will never have these incidents in New Jersey or Connecticut where we do probably the same amount of work, said another owner. Eyewitness News obtained videos and documentation related to 2 recent falls from construction sites. A Bronx-based restoration company said it received a claim from a worker who said on September 20th he tripped and fell while working on a job on West 190th Street. The worker said in a workers' comp claim that he hurt his neck, back, knees, and both shoulders. The company says the worker had been let go a month before and wasn't even supposed to be at the job. Eyewitness News reviewed the surveillance video. Now, this is where it gets really good, guys. And it shows the worker come down a ladder, take a few steps, and then sit down on the sidewalk. The worker does not appear to trip or fall. A few seconds later, another worker comes down the ladder and helps the worker get up and limp away. A person shared surveillance video of 2 men appearing to conduct a fake fall in front of his house. A person, the property owner, has work being done on his front porch as is elevated 1 floor above the ground. Video shows 2 men walking down the street and lying down right in front of Ross's property, directly below the porch construction work. Moments later, someone in the neighborhood captured cell phone video of EMS responding to assist the 2 men. The men appear to be badly injured, and you can see EMS crews take out a neck brace to wrap it around one of them. They also have a stretcher nearby. I'm sure maybe a lawsuit is going to come up, the property owners said. It seems like they told EMS they fell from the platform up there. One of the company owners mentioned in the story is currently trying to fight at least 5 fraudulent claims. The claims have not yet gone through the courts. They have the potential to cost the company millions in damages. All these cases happen when no one is looking, no witnesses, and no camera shots. It goes on and on and on. So here we have, since 2009, the New York State Legislature has considered a bill aimed at adding a comparative negligence standard to Labor Law 242-241, but it never has passed. So it forced workers to bear responsibility for their own falls in certain circumstances. I tell you what, this is, behavior-based safety, right? Blame the worker. See where there's going to be abuse on this one, if that ever goes through. The New York Committee for Occupational Safety and Health about labor law was reached at Labor Law 242-241 and the allegations of fake falls. The committee has long advocated for the law as a way to protect workers. Quote, and this is from a government official, so we will use the name. Quote, falls are the leading cause of construction site fatalities. New York City Occupational Safety and Health Executive Director Charlene Obenauer said, Our laws provide victims the right to a day in court and an opportunity to prove their case. If a contractor follows the rules, make sure safety is a priority, they won't pay a dime. And I believe that's a government official, at least. Right? Obenauer says construction company workers are going after the labor law to get off the hook for claims they should be covering. They're putting their bottom dollar above the welfare of hardworking laborers. Now, here's a question. How do you manage something like this? Do you think? How does this need to be managed here? I tell you, the rise of video surveillance, one way. But do you really want to work at a facility where you are on video all the time? I mean, that's not exactly a happy place to work, to always be on video. And people have big issues being on video here with with things. So I know what we do, if it's legal, we wear body cameras. Not the only one. A lot of safety contractors, especially in New York State, wear body cameras. I have one client that will not take any, as a general contractor, they will not take any feedback from a third-party safety person or even their own safety people unless it is on video or a photograph or something type of absolute written proof. And now that we know that that's what we have to deal with going into it, it really is not that big of an issue for us to do. With it. No, not really a big issue for us because we know what we're going into. And it's along the lines of, I have some of my employees, well, Jimmy, this is going on. Well, do you have a video? Do you have a photo? Do you have a recording? Do you have an email? And what happened with one of my clients, they refused to believe the safety person, the third-party safety people, my people, and so they hired another third-party safety person to go out there. And then they were shocked on the crap that was going on out there. Absolutely shocked. I said, well, look, human and organizational performance. Your reaction to things matters. When people report things, they're either fired, disciplined, made fun of. All 13 of Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals come into play with you. What do you expect? And I can have these frank discussions with some clients. What do you expect? You're at each other's throats here. The incentive, and workers work based on incentive. The incentive is after they get treated that way, is to not report anything. Well, it is. Hi, Jessica. Yeah, my daughter is waving. Okay. My daughter had a little accident with her chair breaking today, apparently. So she's telling me about it. Okay, honey. So, anyway, let's take a brief break and we're going to go into some other news.
Have you listened or watched the Safety War show? It does stream live on the radio and on the streamer-emers that we have. So if you have not taken a listen to Jim Poesl and what the hell he's doing every evening with Safety Wars, I would strongly encourage you to take a view or take a listen, whichever option is available for you, and take a listen to what the hell he has going on. It will take some deep dives and some information that you might be interested in.
In a world where danger lurks in every corner, one man stands as a beacon of hope. Jim Poesl, a veteran safety expert with over 3 decades of experience, now bringing his knowledge to you with Safety Wars. Engaging, informative, and always relevant, that's Safety Wars. Join a safety revolution with Safety Wars, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos.
Anyway, we are back.
You are listening to Safety Wars. Tomorrow's Safety Today.
Okay, now, so we're going to go into some news releases here from the Department of Labor. OSHA News Releases is coming to you from Region 5. This is from last week. I know we're going to be catching up on things here over the next few days. U.S. Department of Labor investigates and cites a Wapaka foundry after 2 workers suffer an amputation injury in 11 days. Fines the company $234,000. Federal investigations into how 2 employees in the mill room at a Wisconsin foundry suffered amputation injuries within 11 days of one another in April and May 2023 found that this company again violated federal regulations for control of hazardous energy. An investigation by OSHA at a certain facility determined a 29-year-old employee suffered a fingertip amputation on April 27th when their hand was dragged into the pinch point between a chain link conveyor belt and a discharge chute as they removed the jammed parts. I mean, this is a big issue with conveyors. You have conveyors, you have to have some type of way of unjamming them. And hopefully it's not with a hand or foot. On May 8th, 2023, the hand of a 20-year-old employee on the job for about 6 months, again, relatively new, was caught between a part and the stand grinding reel, which also led to a finger amputation. Wow. Okay. Let's go. There was 2 repeat and 6 serious violations, assessed at $234,385 in proposed penalties, and of course, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, and things get vacated and everything else with this stuff. So let's see what we have here. We're going through, and again, I don't read these flyers, so you're getting my pure raw reaction here with this. All right. This is a lockout tagout. Citation 1, item 1A. It's the lockout tagout. Again, the procedures shall clearly and specifically outline the scope, purpose, authorization, rules, and techniques to be utilized for the control of hazardous energy and the means to enforce compliance. And it lists a whole bunch of other stuff. This is, here the employer failed to clearly identify all the steps necessary for lockout tagout. And that's the long and short of it. $15,625. Citation 1, item 1B. This is $0, no inspection of the procedure to do that. Citation 1, item 2. The employer shall provide training in lockout tagout. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. $15,625. Citation 2, item 1. This is $85,938. This is a repeat serious violation. And, again, the established procedure for the application of energy control did not cover the actions listed in and was not done in sequence as required by 1910-147. And this was on 2 occasions, on April 27th and May 12th. With this, and it was previously cited for this In September 22nd, 2022, they got him for $85,938 for a total of $117,000 on that set of violations. Now we got the second set of violations that they have here. So down. Okay, citation 1, item 1, type of violation, serious. Types of guarding. One or more methods of machine guarding shall be provided to protect the operator and other employees in the machine area from hazards such as those created by point of operation, ingoing nip points, rotating parts, and flying chips and sparks. Again, this is a serious violation, 15,625 proposed. The work rest on the grinding machine. So the work rest has to be within 1/8 of an inch of the grinding wheel when you're on let's say a pedestal grinder. I had a client one time remove the grinding the rest completely, the guarding and everything on a pedestal grinder, and they were using it that way for the longest time. That cost them a lot of money. Believe me, they call me ex post facto. Hey, what can we do about this? Well, take that grinder and throw it in the garbage, because you get caught with that again, it's a repeat violation. And then so, well, what does that mean? I said, well, that means you're going to get like $100,000, $100 and some $1,000 fine. Is that grinder really worth it? No. Okay, well, but what happens is as the grinding wheel gets ground down, the rest has to be adjusted to come closer and closer to that grinding wheel to keep it at 1/8 of an inch. And by the way, OSHA, this is one of those things where if OSHA goes out there and cites you for this and looks at a pedestal grinder, you better have a tape measure with you so you can measure that to make sure it's 1/8 of an inch. Otherwise, you have a problem. If they call it 1/8 of an inch, guess what? It's 1/8 of an inch. If you go out there and measure it with them and you say, well, it's 1/8 of an inch, but you're saying it's 3/4 of an inch, it's 1/8 of an inch. Now you have something to argue about, right? 29 CFR, next one, citation 1, item 3. This is 12,278. Here we go. 29 CFR 1910-303. I'm not sure I know this one. B6. Deteriorating agents. Unless identified for use in the operating environment, no conductors or equipment shall be located in damp or wet locations or exposed to gases, fumes, vapors, liquids, or pardon me, or other agents that have a deteriorating effect on the conductors or equipment, or were exposed to excessive temperatures. So the environmental conditions were not for this, right? And you try to they have wet conditions apparently. This one's citation 1, item 3B. Flexible cords shall be connected to devices and fittings so that a strain release is provided to prevent pull from the being directed transmitted to joints or terminal screws. That was 0. Citation 1, item 3. This is also 0. They have to have an inspection program for portable cords, for extension cords, for a grand total of $45,528 on that. And we have another set of citations here. Going down. All right, here we have citation 1, item 1, serious. The employer must ensure guardrail systems are capable of withstanding without failure a force of at least 200 pounds, applied downward or outward within 2 inches of the top of the edge and at any point. All right. So again, here we have guardrails not installed, 12,278, and here we have a repeat serious violation. 1910-305. I'm not familiar with this, folks, so let's read it. Unless specifically permitted otherwise of this section, flexible cords and cables may not be used for purposes prohibited in paragraphs A through F. I gotta read this. On or about May 12, okay, an extension cord near a certain operation was used as a substitute for the fixed wiring of a structure when it was provided power from an outlet to the operator's radio system through a power supply. The extension cord was wrapped around a steel structural members to reach the operator's area where the radio was mounted inside a steel box to protect it from the environment. We have another one. An extension cord was used as a substitute for the fixed wiring of a structure, would provide power from an outlet to a retractable, flexible cable reel outlet. The cable reels are used in the area to power items such as, but not limited to, conveyors and non-destructive test machines. They were previously cited for that. It was corrected during the inspection, though, so it was $61,391 proposed. So this was a lot of money here, with this. And hold on, right here. I gotta save this one. All right. Federal investigation of amputation finds another amputation. Finds a company, again, failed to protect employees from machines moving parts. And this is I don't know what kind of company this is. All right, so they do not link the investigation here, but I'll just read the press release. For the third time in 5 years, federal investigators have found a nationwide provider of ready-made pasta sauces and meals failed to show workplace safety requirements to prevent workers from coming into contact with moving machine parts. Once again, our inspectors found a company ignoring federal safety requirements to make sure dangerous machines are guarded or fully de-energized before they are maintained or serviced. And this is a repeat one. OSHA cited the company for 2 repeat and 8 serious violations and assessed $297,000 in proposed penalties. Specifically, inspectors found the company did not make certain employees follow lockout or tagout procedures while servicing and maintaining a sauce line equipment and other machines. Investigators also learned the company did not perform and document annual inspections of machine-specific lockout tagout procedures, a violation which they were cited in 2020. So here we go again, not installing a guardrail. Not installing a guardrail. Storing chemicals in a room without adequate mechanical ventilation. Not fully implementing a confined space program. Not developing, documenting, or using lockout-tagout procedures for several machines. Failed to inspect slings each day before use. Again, you got to show that you're inspecting stuff. Right? That's why checklists are important, folks. Right? Not affixing alloy chains with permanent durable information on size, grade, or rated capacity and reach. If you're using a chain or anything other sling like that, you got to have labels on it. Again, I did an audit on Monday of a facility, and what we discovered was no labels on a lot of stuff, or illegible labels on fall protection. Got to get rid of that stuff. Lacking adequate machine guarding and not enclosing chains and sprockets completely to protect employees from injuries. Here's our next one. Federal workplace investigators have determined a construction contractor could have prevented a 34-year-old steel worker from suffering fatal injuries after a 60-foot fall at a company. It was an electric car plant by following legally required safety procedures. And this happened in April 2023. And the company was cited for 1 willful and 1 serious violation and proposed penalties of $160,724. And let's see what we have here. Company name. We're not going to go into it. This is an Elabelle, Georgia. I've driven by this plant. Guardrail systems, safety, and this is citation 2, item 1. Well, let's go. Citation 1, item 1. Serious. Personal fall arrest systems are not inspected prior to each use for wear, damage, and other deterioration and or defective components were not removed from service. 40, again, you got to inspect this stuff. Citation 2, item 1. Guardrail systems, safety net systems, and fall arrest systems, positioning devices, and their components do not conform to the criteria in 1926.502. That means that's all, you have to use proper equipment, proper tools, that sort of thing with fall protection. On April 29, 2023, the employer exposed employees to fall hazards in that a self-retractable lifeline was not capable of resisting sharp edges connected to limit the free fall distance to less than 6 feet, not inspected prior to use, and was used with a defective body harness, and notable indicators of damage and deterioration. $156,259. Right? Here we have, total of $160,000 here. Okay, so one was, let me get this straight, not inspected, no proof of inspection, and the other one was improper equipment. So they were using a regular, I'm just reading into this a little bit, they were using a regular lanyard rather than a leading edge lanyard on this. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm taking these and I'm sending them out to my clients tomorrow. This is a somewhat local story here. U.S. Department of Labor cites Long Island roofer for safety failures after worker suffers a fatal fall at a Clinton Cove work site. So this is $522,527. And this is roofer's fault on April 14th. This is going to be a big one. So let's see here. Again, fall protection. And, and by the way, this is with the laws that we talked about at the beginning. Get out your checkbook on this one. Let's see. I'm going to try to, let me do Kreskin the Great. No fall protection, no training, and no competent person. Okay, let's see what we got here. I haven't read this. The employer did not train, ding, 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 each employee exposed to a fall hazard in accordance with requirements of 29 CFR 1926.61. Yes.
On fire.
This violation most recently occurred on 2 dates at a place in Glen Cove. $6,875. No training. Citation 2, item 1. Type of violation, willful. Each employee engaged in a steel erection activity who is on a walking and working surface with an unprotected side or edge more than 15 feet above a lower level was not protected from fall hazards by guardrail systems, safety net systems, personal fall arrest system, position got on the bump. So, this is a subpart R situation. Iron workers right, involved in steel erection. Yes, steel erection means putting together beams, not another kind. All right, putting together columns and beams and everything else. This company did not ensure that employees use fall protection while engaged in steel erection activities 15 feet or more above lower levels. This violation most recently occurred between on or about April 11th and April 14th. Employee number 4 was staging materials on the roof of the building as they were being unloaded by the delivery truck. Employee number 4 walked and worked on the southeast/west edge of the building while being exposed to fall hazards without use of a guardrail system, safety nets, blah, blah, blah. And it's something. He needed something. And number 2. The company does not ensure that employees use fall protection while engaged in steel erection activities 15 feet or more above lower levels. So you're saying, well, Jim, what about this 6 feet or more? Yeah, that's great, but if you're involved in subpart R work, it's 15 feet or more. But most of the jobs that I'm on, they still enforce the 6-foot rule. Because what happens is everybody becomes a iron worker at that point. Oh, iron workers could do that 15 feet. Oh, they don't need that. Oh, we're all iron workers. Now we don't have to worry about anything. Then you tell them, well, you're 30 foot above ground. That's $85,942. Citation to item 2, Sirius, another $85,000 here. Each employee engaged in a steel erection activity who's on a walking and working surface with an unprotected side edge, right? So this is A1. Hold on, let me scroll back. This is A1. So this is a per occurrence type situation here. Right? Well, we covered back in March where they're doing, no, normally these would be commingled. These are not being commingled anymore, these violations. It's per thing. And no, another 3, citation to item 3, another one. Commingled here. Not commingled, they're separate. That means there was another employee. Now we're at $85,942. And here we have 29, another one. Item 4, same thing, another $85,000. Item 5, another $85,000. Item 6, another $85,000. Same one, 1926 760A1. For a grand total of $522,527. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 willful serious violations, all because they weren't enforcing the fall protection requirements. Golly! Shazam! Name the classic TV show that came from. Here we have one here with, this seems like a multi-employee job site situation here. U.S. Department of Labor cites 3 Jacksonville contractors for exposing workers to potentially deadly cave-in hazards at a Middleburg work site. So on July 27th, OSHA observed 3 employees working at a Middleburg work site in an unprotected trench about 8 feet deep, 55 foot long, and 9 foot wide, installing casing around an existing sewer line. The trench lacked shoring or trench box to prevent cave-ins. Investigator also saw a superintendent employed by, looks like, the project's general contractor standing on the trench's edge, and the owner of another company in a excavator watching employees working. So you had employees in there and you had 2 companies watching. That's the situation. OSHA cited all 3 employers with 1 willful violation for exposing employees to cave-in hazards by failing to shore the trench or use a protective system such as a trench box. The agency also cited each employer with a serious violation for placing soil piles on the leading edge of the trench, exposing workers to struck-by hazards. OSHA proposed $65,182 in penalties for 1 company, $33,261 to the other 2 companies, each to the other 2 companies. So, background. Recently, OSHA announced enhanced nationwide enforcement and additional oversight to support its national emphasis program on preventing injuries related to trenching and excavation hazards. And they have all different types of information on OSHA.com. Quote, trenching hazards are well known throughout the construction industry, and fatal accidents can occur in the blink of an eye. Supervisors and owners of companies that send workers into trenches while bypassing life-saving precautions, this was written by a computer, you can see that, show a willful indifference to placing their employees in life-threatening situations, said OSHA Area Director Scott Tisdale of Jacksonville, Florida. Fortunately, we were able to correct the hazards before a cave-in occurred. Now, this is my issue here, all right? Here we have $65,000 in penalties, and there was no fatality. What about that situation at JFK Airport? That was like $65,000. There were 2 fatalities there. Explain to me how, and that was for 1 company. Explain to me how this is fair. Pick one, guys. Be consistent in your enforcement. What I'm saying here, because you're making, you got to be consistent here. Here's another one here. Now this one looks like it needs a little bit. Oh yeah, we have the copy of the violations here. I'm sorry for that last story. Here we go. For one company, citation item 1, excavation thing. The employees are not protected from the excavator or other materials that can pose a hazard by falling or rolling into excavations. That was $2,678. Citation 2, item 1. Each employee in a cave-in was not protected by cave-ins by a adequate protection system, $62,504. Right? And here's from the other company. Company number 2. It was type of violation serious. Employees are not protected from an excavator or other materials or equipment that can pose a hazard by falling or rolling into or by a combination of both if necessary. Again, spoil piles were placed on the leading edge of the trench. $2,009 for that company, company number 2, and no trench box, $31,252. And so, and the other one was the same thing. Trench boxes. So let me go back here. Did they all get 65? And the article is wrong here. Okay, contractor 2 and 3. Okay, no. The article is right. Okay, it's me that can't read. So the general contractor got the biggest fines here. And it was, of $62,504. Pretty interesting there. Again, same thing with that. Right, protecting the workers. Here we have U.S. Department of Labor finds Wisconsin workers fatal 2023 injuries occurred on a machine that 3M company identified as hazardous in 2022. One of the world's best-known manufacturing companies could have prevented an employee at a southwestern Wisconsin manufacturing plant from suffering fatal injuries after becoming caught in the machine's rotating rollers in May 2023 by following federal state workplace safety regulations. The U.S. Department of Labor's OSHA began an investigation after the 3M company reported death at its Hurry-Du-Chin facility. OSHA inspectors learned the employee was helping to set up a plastic extrusion line when they became caught. Okay, so was a one worker killed or more than one? Because it says when they were caught, when they became caught. OSHA helping to set up. Okay. It should be either he or she became caught, when they became caught. The agency determined the 3M company violated federal regulations for the control of hazardous energy during setup, servicing, and operation of the machine. The incident followed the company's assessment of equipment at its U.S. and Canadian plants in May 2022 after a fatality at a 3M facility in Alexandria, Minnesota in February 2022. The tragedy of another employee's death in Wisconsin is compounded by the fact that the company completed a corporate-wide review and determined powered rollers were hazards and in need of safety improvements. Explained OSHA Regional Administrator Bill Donovan in Chicago. The company must address these hazards immediately to protect employees from serious injuries or worse. Well, what do we have here? $312,000 in fines. Citation 1A. Item 1A, type of willful violation, willful serious. Procedures are not developed, documented, or utilized for the control of potentially hazardous energy when employees are engaged in activities covered by this section. Goes on and on and on. $156,259. Citation 1, item 1B. Willful serious, the established procedures for the application of energy control did not cover the actions listed in and was not done in sequence. Again, they didn't even have them for this one, apparently. 0 on that. Citation 1, item 2. Willful, serious. One or more methods of machine guarding was not provided to protect the operator and other employees in the machine area from hazards such as those created by point of operation, ingoing nip points, rotating parts, flying chips, or sparks. $156,259 for a grand total of $312,518. And let's remember, all this stuff could be appealed, vacated, litigated, and everything above. So this is not like the last word on any of these stories that we showed here. What's weird is that there were a lot of them were from Wisconsin. So anyway. Let's take one last commercial break, and then we will be back. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Poesl at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. Okay, so what else we got going on here? Okay, here we have a list. Jay Allen does lists. I'll do a list. He does them better than me, though. Percent, this is out of the U.S. Sun. Brits are among the world's biggest binge drinkers, figures show. We rank 33rd out of 33 wealthy nations on rates of heavy episodic drinking, ahead of countries including Germany and Austria and Ireland. So here we go. This is percent of people who had 6 or more drinks in one sitting in the past month. Denmark, 37% of people have done that. Romania, 36%. United Kingdom, 35%. Luxembourg, 35%. Germany, 30%. Belgium, 28%. Australia, 26%. Ireland, 25%. Iceland, 24%. United States, 23%. Wow. Binge drinking. Who would have guessed Denmark? Denmark and Romania. Romania, I could, okay, it's Eastern Europe. That's a different animal, believe it or not. So, I don't know. I think that we should compare what some of the health situations are in those countries also. Are they happy mentally? Or, I don't know. Should be. They're drunk all the time. I don't know. Not all the time. Wow. What else we have here? And we have, I don't know. Are we all comfortable with all the anti-Semitism out there and the war? The rise of the neo-Nazis again? I've told people that these people exist for a long time. I wasn't believed. So it's very frustrating on this, with all this stuff. And let's see how much time we have, and I think we're just going to call it a day. We will be seeing you, I don't know if I'll be on the air tomorrow, again, cleaning up with the mess that, you have when a loved one dies. That's what I'll be handling tomorrow. So I don't know if I'll be on the air or not. So for Safety Wars, this is Jim Poesl. I'll see you when I see you.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.